Alright, ladies and gentlemen, and telemarketers alike that have called this house approximately 5 times during the commercial break, welcome back to A Work in Progress. And you know, it sounds a little weird for us doing that because we usually do that only for Music Village, Under the Radar, the Indie Radio Arcade, and even the Tuesday night special, but never for a show such as this. I might do it more often. I'm not too entirely sure. We'll see how this first episode rolls out and see if going back to a 45-minute time slot was a wise idea. And with all the stuff that happened this week, I think it is, because one thing we forgot to mention in part 1 for Monster Hunter, that in the upcoming fall, or more or less in September, they're coming out with a brand new DLC world known as the Iceborne Expansion Pack. And if my memory serves me correct, I do believe this is the first time they've ever done a snow-like environment for Monster Hunter that I remember. Because, like I said before, the last one I played was Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, and that was years ago. I'm pretty sure that was just about well over 10 years ago, which is scary. Yikes. All the games and video game stories I'm going to mention over the next couple of weeks are going to be back from a decade ago, which is going to be nuts. And I think the next video game story we have up on the plate for this Friday's edition of Music Village, which we're going to spill the beans exclusively on A Work in Progress, is going to be none other than, Maestro, give me that hat with the video game stories for the month of May. Give me the hat. Thank you. All right. Let's see here. The date, the time, the show number. Oh! It's going to be Big Buck Hunter. Yes, the only game I was able to beat my sister in a shooting gallery-like form. Because I played this game for years, 1, and 2, Duck Hunt was a very good helper for this game, almost as much as it was a helper for my sister playing, I guess, Jurassic Park. Now, if I remembered how much of that game she played as a kid, I would have mentioned it on the show for a video game story, but nope. When I was at Chuck E. Cheese, the only thing I remember playing besides the whack-a-mole had to have been the whole hoop shooting contest, and I lost a whole bunch of times to that to my brother, because at that time, I do believe he was going for, basketball in middle school? Or something like that. He has a whole bunch of trophies, you know. So that tells you how good he was at basketball and how much he creamed me in all of those basketball-like games. Why in the world, as a kid, Maestro, I decided to challenge my brother in things that he's good at? I should have done something that I was good at that he couldn't beat me in. Which, when I was little, wasn't much. Unless we had a frisbee tournament or golf. That's about it. And I almost forgot to tell you guys, I do believe in golf, I learned how to master the swing that Happy Gilmore did when I was in school, and I think the gym teacher told me to stop doing that because the ball went up so high into the air, it arced over and landed over where the people were doing badminton, which wasn't good. So I had to wait until I was outdoors to fully use that swing, and I think I got well over 195 yards on the first swing? Yeah, 195 yards. Pretty proud of that. I know there's certain people in the PGA Tour who can hit further than that, but for a kid like me to hit that, I'm proud of it. And I will stand by that merit, even though Maestro's telling me that somebody hit the ball about well over 300 yards, so yeah, good for them. They're in the PGA Tour. They're getting trophies. They're winning golden and green jackets. I'm not. I'm just a regular person just playing golf for the thrill of it. And one day we'll find an outlet store that has one of those funny plaid-like pants and those funny hats that Al Shevrick wore in Caddyshack that I could wear to actually do golf properly. One day. Just not today. And with that silliness, folks, we also have another big announcement to announce for you for next month, since this month is almost over. we will have a couple of very interesting video game stories to go along with it, as the month of Extreme will make its return, but we're still deciding how in the world we're going to incorporate your video game stories into the show. And according to what the Maestro said, one of the plans that he had, that he told me about from an email we got this week from a company or a website called Anchor, we can actually use our phone to broadcast the work in progress and have special guests come in and tell their cool video game stories to us in person, or in person over the phone. You know, I really wish I had one of those wristwatch phones so I could actually do the show and have one of those real-life adventures of Johnny Quest moments on there. And as a matter of fact, speaking of that show, I really wish they had that show back on the air. It was very unappreciated. It was around the time, if nobody remembers it, it was just around the time where they had shows like the Extreme Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe Extreme, and I think it was during the Extreme phase of TV. You know what? As a matter of fact, that gives me a great idea, and Maestro, write it down. For next month, for As Seen on TV, we will review all of the Extreme cartoons that came out throughout the 80s and the 90s. Or more or less the 90s and the early 2000s. Because I don't think they went any further than that with the Extreme shows they had, or the alternative, serious versions of the shows that they had prior to that. Or did they? Because I'm pretty sure they did something weird for James Bond, too, wasn't it? Oh, it was just James Bond Jr. Thank you for the sign. Where did you get that from? Arts and crafts again. Yes, apparently Maestro has become a prop master ever since he went to the Home Depot and started buying arts and craft tools to just make random things to remind me of certain things to keep me on track for shows. I didn't know it was going to come in handy for a work in progress, but it has. It really has. And in other news, folks, to keep things interesting, and something I was going to report on Music Village, but I got so annoyed by it, I said, hey, we might as well do it now. And apparently, it's been announced as of this week, folks, that there will be a sequel to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. So after they had a TV series for it, after they had the other movies where he blew up the kid, shrunk the kids, shrunk themselves, and I thought the next one was going to be Honey, I Shrunk the Neighborhood, but no, it's a sequel known as Honey, I Shrunk the Kids that is currently in development, and that will feature some of the original cast of the movies, but at this point, I think I'm done with remakes of movies. I really am. Not because I dislike them or like people who saw Sonic the Hedgehog and said, oh, because the eyes wasn't in the right spot, the nose wasn't shiny, or any other complaint that they had for this said movie that the director actually had to go back and change Sonic the Hedgehog from what he originally looked like. No, it's just because all of the nostalgic original movies are just being redone in a modern time. Now, Xavier Woods said on Up, Up, Down, Down that they're doing it for this era of kids that actually show them what the movie was like, but I got a feeling just put the original films in the theaters. Just do that. Like, just have one day in a month, or just one whole month, where you show the original advertisement for the movie that when it originally came out, and show it in theaters. And just say now playing, or add some new special effects or flair to the whole ad for the movie, and just bring it out in theaters. Instead of remaking the movie and for people to trash it to points unknown and save yourself about $1 million or 100,000 or 500,000 or how much the budget was for the film in the first place, save yourself some money and just show the original version of the film. But then again, I got a feeling to get the original, reel to reel for that said film, it's going to probably cost people a pretty penny too. But it'll be a lot better than actually spending millions of dollars trying to actually reboot the movie from what it originally was. But hey, what do I know? I'm not a Hollywood director. I'm not George Lucas or Steven Spielberg, which I almost forgot his name, but I just remembered just a couple of seconds ago, or any other person like M. Night Shyamalan or who have you, who's been doing these movies for years and decide to just go into the reboot stage. I don't know. What is Hollywood gonna look like in the next couple of years with all these reboots? Like, next thing we know, I'm gonna end up seeing something that's gonna make me cry, is that they're gonna reboot Speed. It's not gonna have Keanu Reeves, it's gonna have some newfangled action star that they found off the street. It's not gonna have Sandra Bullock, it's not gonna have Jeff Bridges, and it's especially not gonna have Dennis Hopper in the said film because, he unfortunately died a couple of years back, may he rest in peace. But, yeah, I got a feeling in the near future they're gonna remake Speed. They already did it for Godzilla, they already did it for It. The new commercial or, trailer that they had for It was already freaky enough already, of an old lady who had no clothes on dancing around like she was at a rave. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what the future of Hollywood is, but I got a feeling it's not good. It's not good at all if they keep going to the well of Remake Central or the superhero route like they said during Grand Theft Auto. Well, at least for Grand Theft Auto 5. Which I still need to go back and do the story mode for the next gen and actually test out all of the weapons that they've recently added to the game and test them in the actual version of the game. Which I hope they can do. Not too entirely sure, but I hope they can do. And speaking of Grand Theft Auto, folks, one thing that I completely forgot to do and add to the list of video game stories that we will have in the near future is one for the Ballad of Gay Tony. A game that I actually passed up to my sister for her to play, didn't get a chance to play, but this past week I got a chance to play it myself. And besides giving the review last year during the Summer of Rockstar for the Indie Radio Arcade, we forgot a lot of things that this game had that we liked besides all of the cool weapons that you can get, including Yusuf's golden SMG by the end of the game. Spoiler alert, by the way, you get a golden SMG by the end of this whole thing. And also you get a noose tank, and I do believe several different fast cars that you can race in. And they also have a triathlon in that game, which I think they should have incorporated in the actual online version of the game. They never did, but they really should have added that in, besides the whole Cannonball Run mode, just a triathlon of parachute, boat, and car to race around. But I don't know if they're ever going to add that for Grand Theft Auto 6 whenever that comes out, but I'm not in a real rush for it. A lot of people are starting to leak stuff online saying, oh, it's going to be here, it's going to be there, but until Rockstar Games actually confirms it, I don't believe it. It's just another one of those cases of Dean Cain's, Ripley's Believe It or Not, when they have these things online trying to spoil things for the next Grand Theft Auto. And oh, another thing, I also heard news online that they spoiled the DLC characters that were supposed to be released for Mortal Kombat. And I saw a couple of them, but I don't believe it. And rumors are going around that Spawn wasn't supposed to be one of the characters. These are rumors, not facts, rumors. But for PC, whichever character they want is going to come out because they're going to mod it into the game. And I got a feeling one of the characters that are going to probably mod into the game, since they had a big petition that hit well over 400,000 people who signed it, maybe even more than that, is probably going to be Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. And I don't know how in the world he became so popular, even though back in the day when I used to watch Scooby-Doo, the most popular character out of anybody was neither Velma or Daphne, neither that or Scooby himself. Never really Shaggy. He never got the respect he deserved, and a guy I used to work with used to sound like Shaggy himself. Yeah, something to ponder upon, folks. Something really to ponder upon. And I'm getting the signal once again from the maestro that we're heading into the third part of the show, folks. So don't go anywhere. We're going to grab a glass of water, and when we come back, we'll be back with the third half of A Work in Progress to celebrate these 10 episodes right after this. So don't get lost in the confusion just yet, folks, and stay tuned.